Should we do another whale fact here? Did you know that sperm whales use vowels in their communication? And not only do they use vowels, they use diphthongs. I don't know. I do. I do not know how to pronounce this word. I'm just going to say I'm going to butcher this word. So this was a study by Beggars et al. And it was published actually in November. We're a little bit late covering this. And it suggests that sperm whales may be using equivalents to vowels and diphthongs. Now, what is a diphthong? It is where two vowels in the same syllable cause the sound to change from one vowel to the next. So, I'm going to get Geofits to read out 3 words here. And you're going to hear how like one vowel moves into the next.
Mhm.
Okay. So you can see the paper here, right? The
Yep,
ones are
yep.
okay.
I got
Okay,
it.
go ahead.
Coin, loud, side.
Again, slowly. First one.
Coin,
So
loud. Oh, yep. Coin. Yeah, because
yeah,
it's the swooping transition.
yeah.
Coin, loud, slide.
So this study suggests that sperm whales do this in their language, which is crazy complexity in language. So sperm whales, if you don't know much about sperm whales are known to communicate in what is referred to as codas. And a coda is a group of clicks. And these clicks are assumed to be culturally learned, as in the young sperm whales will learn them from their mother. And scientists have found through spectral analysis that sperm whale codas could actually include the equivalent to human vowels, and not only vowels, but also these diphthongs also. Someone in chat or like in the comments on YouTube, like explain how to pronounce this word. So the paper it doesn't bring anything new in terms of like data collection, but it's basically a reanalyzing of previous data. And so the paper proposes that study on sperm whale coders has been very binary up until now. So it's basically like, is there a click here? There's a click here, there's a click here. The time between the clicks. Nothing is focused on the actual click itself, just the timing between clicks, like the structure of the sentence. So this study actually suggested that maybe we should be taking into account the characteristics of the click. So does the click change in tone? Does it change in frequency? Does it trail off? Does it like does it blend into the next one? And things like that. So and also to support this is the biology of the sperm whale. If you did not know, sperm whales do have the largest brains in the animal kingdom. And I can't find any actual evidence on this, is my own assumption, but they likely have the largest communicative organ in the animal kingdom as well, which is the melon. If you look at a sperm whale, like half of that big blocky head is the melon.
And the other half is the brain.
Oh yeah. So okay, have you got anything? Have you got anything to say on this? Because
I mean, it's very interesting. Um, and I think it's very easy to, certainly lean into things and try and apply, human grammar to things. So I always wonder a little bit about, this kind of characterization of linguistics in an animal. But it is really cool to see that there are at least, patterns, to find in in their communications like that.
So I mean, I know what you're saying. It's like when we look for like life on Mars, for instance, like we always we always like convince ourselves to look for life as we know it.
The little
But
green men.
but life that developed on another planet, we don't have a frame of reference. We cannot assume that the rules are the same on Mars. If we find
Hmm.
life on another planet, there is very much a chance that it's life not as we know it. That is going to
Yeah.
be completely different than what we're expecting. And
So, an example to that from astrobiology, and we actually kind of, I think I was kind of going to cover this for an educate me quite a while ago when we talked about whale falls, because there
yeah,
was something that was
oh yeah,
relevant
this
there.
the whale falls are a perfect example of this, where like we've discovered stuff that we didn't know could even exist before.
Yeah, or and a lot of it was like stuff that we had only found existed in extreme environments, like hot vents, in the bottom of the ocean, or completely like anaerobic underground water systems. Usually that's where it's been found.
Yeah,
But this theory is, it's called the purple earth theory, and essentially it's this idea that before plants, or green plants as we know it, we could have had plants that used a simpler process that would have resulted in them having purple leaves and stems instead of green. And it's possible that Earth was, purple before it was green, before we had the great, oxygen explosion and all of the plant life came out. So it's basically, in this theory, it's basically saying, hey, astronomers, and exobiologists, like, let's look for, planets that show up with a purple spectrum, because it's possible that they could be, this type of plant life that's going off of different processes that are different from what we understand it.
yeah. We also have to remember, like life is determined. It's not determined by biology. It's determined by our interpretation of biology, our own definitions of what is a life form. And but I also think it's important to remember that like it's it's not good to attribute too many human interpretations onto life, and particularly like coming back to sperm whales, like the communication with them. But sometimes we do actually have to put it in human terms, just so that we can kind of try and compartmentalize it, try and understand it in a way that only we understand.
Well, and one of the things that makes humans, humans, is like our ability for pattern recognition. And I think because of that, we try to apply that, pattern recognition in our understanding of things that we don't understand. And so we constantly try
Yeah.
to frame it, reframe something into, terms that we can understand to better understand something.
Oh wait, I've just realized. Are we Darmok?
Yep.
We're deep. Okay, we're completely derailing here. We're talking about Star Trek now. Huh? We are Darmok here, where we are putting everything into the context of like a metaphor of what we understand,
Mm-hmm.
and
Aquanagra. Yep.
so that's why we're calling it. I love that. I love that Boris Wolf got that reference as well.
Yep. Well, and even when, like, you were talking, like, I was thinking about, I actually was thinking about Star Trek, and like where, one of the very quick differences that they show in, like, how life could be different is, look at human blood versus Vulcan blood.
Yeah, they have green blood, I think.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, because instead of iron, instead of basically iron oxide to carry, oxygen around, they're using like a copper oxide.
Interesting. I did not actually know that. I've learned a bit about Star Trek.
Yeah, well, think about what makes your blood red. It's the
Well, it's
iron in
the
your
iron, yeah.
well, yeah.
That's interesting. I I love how we have just completely derailed chat with
Mhm.
the mention of Darmok.
That's what we do.
So okay, so we should explain. I should explain. Me and Gio are massive Trekkies. Hey, I just finished watching Deep Space Nine today for the second time. I have a newfound appreciation for it. But
It's
like,
my favorite series.
I think honestly, Darmok like in Star Trek is perfect a perfect example of how if the way we understand science might not actually be how we should interpret it, you know? Like we interpret it in such a way that's like unique to us. And honestly, there's no other way to interpret it because we do not have another frame of reference. It's quite literally impossible for us to even conceive of it in a different form. But
And
we have to be
I
open
think
to that possibility.
yeah, I think one interesting way to to think about that too is what are all of our number systems?
Oh, that's
They're
a
all
good point.
they're all
The
base 10, right? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously we have binary for computer stuff, but natively we use base 10. Now there are some examples in our culture where we use base 3, base 4, base 6, thinking of music, in particular, but much of our math is all based around base 10. And I would suspect that's probably because we have 10 fingers and 10 toes. But think about a species that had 12 fingers and 12 toes, and maybe they based everything on base 12 or base 16 or something else and maybe that different perspective would actually lead you to a different understanding or a different path
it's
to understanding physics and science and everything else.
the whole like SETI thing of if we ever encounter aliens, our way to communicate to say that we intelligent life is to list off prime numbers because like that's a mathematic fundamental,
Hmm.
but that's mathematics as we understand it.
Yeah.
Imagine like is SETA it's not SETI. Okay, I got it mixed up with the last
No,
letter.
no, no, it is. It's SETI. I think
Okay,
boring.
it's SETI. Okay,
I think that's just a mistype. It's yeah.
all right, but yeah, Im- imagine prime numbers. Also, imagine we're right. Imagine we're right about prime numbers, but they're wrong.
Hmm. Well, but what if? I mean, it can also be like, what if they were in like base 3 and they just never figured out base 10?
I
Because
don't.
there could,
I
because like you could have a cognitive block.
I do wonder at that point would they even be able to receive our communications?
You never know.
I mean,
Alright.
if the binars if the binars can find space travel, then okay. Let's get off Star Trek for a second. Wow, I think that's the most derailed we have ever gotten, which is saying something.
Yeah, we're pretty good at that.
Human DNA is based on 4 components. Snap. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm not touching that, but Boris Wolf in chat has a fantastic. I like it. Like a fantastic point here. Like, do we class human DNA? Do we class all DNA as having 4 components?
Doubt.
Definitely not. Definitely we don't. That is how life is on Earth, but on other planets, no.
Yeah, I mean, do we even know that DNA is a requirement for life? No, we do not.
How do we know that rocks aren't alive?
We
Even
don't, we
by
just
our
haven't perceived it yet.
even by our definition, it's okay. So maybe there are some things under our definition of life that a rock can't be a life form, but damn, is it
It might just be
close?
a matter of how it might just be a matter of how far you, subdivide it.
Yeah.